It was just after midnight on November 14th when the silence over the Black Sea shattered. The first explosions echoed across the coastline, their deep rumble rolling through the hills of Novorossiysk, a key port city and one of Russia's main arteries to the world's oil markets. Witnesses captured flashes in the darkness, followed by columns of flame reaching skyward. In the moments that followed, the city's skyline was illuminated not by streetlights, but by burning fuel and smoke. Ukrainian drones and long-range missiles had struck again, this time at one of the most strategically vital points on Russia's southern coast, the Sheshady's oil terminal and a nearby air defense complex. Within hours, oil depots burned, defensive radars fell silent, and emergency sirens wailed across the port. It was, by all estimates, one of the largest and most damaging attacks since the war began. The Sheshady's terminal is not just a port facility, it is the endpoint of major pipelines operated by the Russian energy company Transneft, handling millions of tons of crude and refined products each year. From here, oil flows across the Black Sea to international markets. The terminal's capacity makes it one of Moscow's most critical export hubs, a financial lifeline to sustain both its economy and its military operations. By targeting this site, Ukraine had struck not only at infrastructure, but also at the heart of Russia's war financing machine. Satellite images from NASA's FIRM system later confirmed multiple fire hotspots blanketing the facility. Analysts observed that the pattern of ignition points suggested precision-guided attacks, not random blasts. Local residents described an eerie sequence. First a dull rumble, then sharp bursts, followed by a chain of fireballs leaping across storage tanks. Even hours later, smoke still drifted over the port, visible from miles away. Military observers had long wondered how Ukraine could sustain its campaign deep into Russian territory. The answer became clearer in recent months as the country unveiled advancements in its missile arsenal, particularly the Neptune D system. Originally designed as an anti-ship missile, the Neptune series has evolved into a powerful multi-purpose weapon. Engineers at the Lodz Design Bureau modified its structure, increasing its range from about 280 kilometers to nearly 1,000. The updated variant features a 260-kilogram warhead, advanced terrain-following navigation, and the capacity to strike both marine and land-based targets. Footage released by Ukrainian officials revealed the new launch system mounted on a Czech Tatra truck chassis, equipped with square transport and launch containers. The modification allows 2 missiles per vehicle, giving the Ukrainian Navy a flexible and mobile strike capability. President Volodymyr Zelensky's announcement following the Novorossiysk strike confirmed what many had speculated: Neptune D missiles were used in the operation. He described the attack as a necessary response to unprovoked terror, emphasizing that Ukrainian precision weapons were achieving stronger results each month. As fires burned along the Novorossiysk shoreline, Russian military outlets rushed to claim success stories of their own. According to the Ministry of Defense, air defense units had intercepted 66 Ukrainian drones over Krasnodar Krai that same night. But local footage told a more complicated story. Video showed radar flashes from S-400 systems, followed by powerful detonations nearby. Analysts from the Cyber Barrel OSINT community later confirmed that positions of S-300 and S-400 systems on the grounds of Military Unit 537 had indeed been hit. If verified, the incident highlights a growing vulnerability in Russia's layered air defense network. Designed to protect strategic sites across southern Russia, the S-400 complexes have been considered nearly impregnable. Yet recurring reports of successful Ukrainian strikes, especially against such systems, suggest Ukraine has found ways to outmaneuver or saturate them through coordinated drone and missile attacks. Local residents described a massive explosion near the military compound, producing a towering pillar of smoke visible across the city. Bystanders captured the glow on mobile phones, posting their footage online before authorities could shut down communication lines. While long-range missile strikes dominate headlines, another revolution is unfolding much closer to the front lines. Ukrainian engineers have developed a new defensive technology known as the Hunter drone. The Hunter is a fast, agile interceptor built specifically to track and destroy enemy FPV drones before they can reach their targets. Operated by the Black Arrow Unmanned Systems Battalion, part of Ukraine's 5th Heavy Mechanized Brigade, the device combines high-speed pursuit capabilities with autonomous target detection. Field footage from the brigade shows the Hunter weaving through the sky, locking onto an enemy drone and executing a controlled collision that disables both vehicles mid-air. It is, in essence, a dogfight of robots. What makes this innovation remarkable is its resilience under heavy electronic warfare conditions. Even when GPS signals are jammed or communication severed, the Hunter continues to operate on internal sensors and onboard processing, allowing it to protect troops on the ground. For the soldiers it shields, the device has already earned legendary status. One operator described it as a hawk that always finds its prey. Far beyond the coast and trenches, Ukraine's drone and missile campaign has reached hundreds of kilometers into Russian territory. In Tatarstan, fires broke out at a 500 kilovolt transformer substation, reportedly the result of a long-range attack. The flames disrupted local power supply, but carried greater symbolic weight. Nowhere in Russia feels completely safe from precision strikes. According to defense analysts, this capability to reach deep targets marks a new phase of the conflict, a hybrid between traditional and asymmetric warfare. Ukrainian tactics prioritize disruption, targeting infrastructure that fuels Russian logistics, energy exports, and military readiness rather than manpower alone. Each strike forces Moscow to divert resources, more air defenses deployed southward, more repair crews dispatched, and more fear within civilian populations living far from the actual front lines. While missiles hit physical targets, another kind of assault unfolds in the financial world. President Zelensky has renewed his calls to transfer 140 to 160 billion euros in frozen Russian assets to Ukraine. These are the funds of those who brought war to our land, he stated in a recent address. Returning them to Ukraine will not only weaken their system, but strengthen ours. The proposal has sparked debate across Europe. Transferring these assets would transform symbolic sanctions into tangible consequences. Experts argue that doing so would deprive Moscow of vital foreign reserves while simultaneously fueling Ukraine's production of weapons and energy defense systems. Energy analysts estimate that between lost export revenues and frozen holdings, Russia risks forfeiting close to 80 billion euros in annual economic leverage, a sum that could reshape negotiations and prolong or shorten the conflict depending on ensuing decisions in Brussels and Washington. Beyond the front lines, Russia's internal situation reveals a society under immense strain. In Novosibirsk, 8 men, each with prior criminal records, were sentenced to long prison terms after abducting a returning war veteran to extort his combat earnings. Their victim, who had survived fierce fighting in Ukraine, was forced into a car, driven into the woods, and beaten while his captors demanded his war pay, 1.5 million rubles. They only obtained a fraction before being caught. The court case dragged on for over a year, and by the time sentencing was delivered, the victim was dead, killed on the battlefield he had once escaped. Such stories, increasingly reported by independent Russian media, reflect a stark reality. For some, the war's promised rewards have turned into ruin. Military contracts attract desperate men seeking redemption or escape from criminal pasts. Many return broken or not at all. Sociologists warn that the growing number of ex-convicts recruited into the military or reabsorbed into communities after combat creates a volatile mix of trauma and poverty. As Ukraine refines its air and missile capabilities, the skies above the battlefield have become a swirling test ground of innovation. The integration of drones, counter-drones, and long-range strike systems forms a layered shield and spear strategy. On one layer, surveillance drones map enemy positions and relay coordinates in real time. On another, strike drones and loitering munitions hit exposed targets before returning with reconnaissance data.
Beneath them all, the hunter drones create a mobile defense net capable of intercepting hostile UAVs in flight. Commanders describe this ecosystem as the Internet of the battlefield, a connected web of algorithms and devices that analyze, respond, and adapt faster than human operators. These systems are increasingly autonomous, designed to keep functioning even if communications are lost. In a world where electronic warfare can blind entire armies, autonomy has become the most precious asset. The Ukrainian approach to combat in 2025 reflects a broader shift in modern warfare. Traditional concepts of front lines are dissolving into networks of sensors, launchers, and aerial platforms, stretching across entire regions. Ukraine's development of the Neptune D and its expanded drone fleet demonstrates that with innovation and resourcefulness, even the nation under siege can project power far beyond its borders. Military experts see echoes of past conflicts. World War II's long-range bombing campaigns blended with 21st century technology. Just as radar and jet engines once redefined air combat, AI-driven drones and precision missiles are now rewriting the rules of defense and deterrence. Official Russian statements continue a familiar pattern. Claims of intercepted drones, destruction of enemy equipment, and minimal damage reports. However, independent satellite imagery and citizen media often contradict the government narrative. In the hours following the Novorossiysk attack, Russian broadcasters showed calm scenes of the harbor, carefully avoiding angles that revealed the scale of the fires. Yet online clips quickly circulated of charred tanks, collapsed storage roofs, and cratered air defenses. This tension between official messaging and visible destruction adds to domestic unease. Each successful Ukrainian strike not only weakens Russia's logistics, but erodes confidence in its ability to protect its own soil. One of the most defining features of this war is the rise of open-source intelligence. Groups like CyberBarrel and GeoConfirmed analyze satellite data, flight paths, and social media footage to confirm events that governments either deny or obscure. This democratization of intelligence has transformed public understanding of military operations. Ordinary analysts can now verify missile trajectories, match craters to munition types, and estimate damage levels with striking accuracy. It has also empowered journalists and activists, allowing narratives of truth to spread despite censorship. The Novorossiysk strike serves as another example. Initial government silence was soon overwhelmed by civilians sharing geolocated footage that made denial impossible. As winter approaches, a familiar question looms. Which side can outlast the other? Ukraine faces shortages in ammunition and power generation, but compensates through innovation and international support. Russia commands vast manpower and resources, but suffers from stretched logistics and waning morale. Analysts predict that both sides will focus heavily on attrition, Ukraine continuing precision strikes to sap Russia's economy, and Russia redoubling missile attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure. The sky, more than the ground, will define this winter's struggle. Behind every new drone or missile stands a human story. A team of engineers working late in underground workshops, a soldier in the field testing a prototype, or a pilot launching a strike after days of reconnaissance. Many of these developers once worked in civilian aerospace and automotive industries. Since the invasion, they have redirected their expertise toward survival. Interviews with these engineers reveal a mix of pride and exhaustion. One describes seeing footage of his invention intercept an enemy drone and realizing that every modification he made in theory now saved real lives. Beyond the direct battlefield, Ukraine's long-range campaign has altered the entire regional security environment. NATO countries along the Black Sea, Romania, Bulgaria, and Turkey, monitor the fighting closely, aware that the fate of maritime trade routes and energy corridors depends on these outcomes. The destruction of the Sheskara's terminal, even temporarily, sent oil prices fluctuating. Analysts warn that more such strikes could trigger ripple effects across global energy markets. Meanwhile, Western arms manufacturers study each engagement for lessons in modern warfare, lessons about resilience, cost efficiency, and automation. Ukraine has effectively become a testing ground for future military doctrines. The success of Ukraine's precision attacks demonstrates that deterrence no longer relies solely on nuclear or large conventional arsenals. Even nations of modest size can achieve strategic parity through agility, intelligence, and technology. By proving capable of striking deep inside enemy territory with domestically modified systems, Ukraine sends a message that resonates far beyond its borders: defense through adaptability. Military schools across the world are already incorporating case studies from this war into their curricula, emphasizing operational flexibility and rapid innovation.